Okay, everyone, we're good. Woo! And
Hey,
5:20. Earl, you can call the meeting to order.
okay, everybody, we are ready at 5:20 to start our new meeting in September of 2020 after all of this. So let's make it a good one so we can kind of get ready for Christmas coming up.
Yes.
Okay, so Sally, where do you want to start off on then?
Approval of the March minutes.
Okay, I cannot find my March minutes, but did everybody else find theirs? Anyone?
They were just sent out with the agenda.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's see, call to order at 5 p.m., approval of March minutes, new business. So joint commission meeting is going to be October 12th. And okay, so Sally, so what's going to be in the joint commission meeting again on October 12th?
Okay, so we'll be presenting our accomplishments
Okay.
for the year. And obviously the year's not up. So what we've done today, what we plan on doing in December. And I created talking points based on our accomplishments. So I'm going to try to share the screen and I'll call this up and we'll just go through each one. So here's the talking points. So I did them in order, kind of date order. Okay, so it starts with the MLK ceremony. And so I'll just kind of read through it and you can think about if you want to be the person to present this or not based on whether you were involved with this committee. So we did the student essays again this year. The theme was the dream and the valuing of human life. We had one winner and two honorable mentions. Do you remember this? Seems so long ago.
Yeah.
The city council liked that the essays were displayed at the event and not read. So I mentioned that the MLK committee in the school district is looking at moving away from the essays. They feel like it's not encompassing of all students who maybe are not good writers. They don't want to write an essay. We had the feeling that maybe it was losing traction and what could speak more to the kids. So because of COVID, we didn't come up with anything in particular, but they had talked about like photography, art, different ways that students could get involved. But this year, the MLK ceremony will be videotaped and we'll start that production later this month. We have our first MLK meeting this Wednesday. And we always have a liaison from the Arts Commission. And Kat was that person and Phil before Kat. And now I don't believe we have anyone who's a liaison. So anyone who might want to be that person, you go to the meetings, you listen to what's going on, and then you report back to the Arts Commission. So on this, I mentioned that we have this concept of doing something more meaningful. And so at the last MLK committee meeting, they said, what is the city doing that's really meaningful? What's the city doing about the whole movement of Black Lives Matter? So I thought a lot about it and I thought, well, we could have a peace march, but that's really short-lived. And what can we do that would really be lasting and make a big, bold statement? And that was an idea of a mural. And I had done a lot of research last year on this company called Urban Artworks out of Seattle. And they pair youth with an artist. And in this case, they would look for a local artist of color. And the idea would be to get a lot of feedback from the community. So meet with students, meet with the youth council, meet with the Arts Commission, meet with teachers and different community forums and gather their ideas for what themes they'd want represented in a mural around the idea of unity and peace and diversity, celebrating diversity in Lakewood. And then the artist would take all that information and sketch out a mural. And once it's approved, it would be a community project. Everyone in the community would be involved with actually painting the mural. What they do is they take it digitally, and we would purchase mural paper. The artist puts it on the paper, so then you can work with it horizontally on the ground versus vertically. And people can make appointments, or we could have an event. Our 25th anniversary is coming up for the city. We could have it be part of that event or an unveiling there. But the idea is to really, really make it a grassroots community mural. So that's the concept, and that's what I'll be talking more with the committee about on Wednesday. Does anyone have questions about that?
No.
So,
Sally, did you say that you were still needing someone as a representative from the Arts Commission?
correct.
What time is that meeting on Wednesday?
It's 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
Okay, I'll take that on. It aligns with a lot of the work that I've been doing in the school district, especially with Grant. So yeah, that I can do that if that's okay with everybody else.
Certainly.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Awesome.
Cool.
I'm just making a few notes here. Okay, great. So I'm really excited about the potential of this project. We're just, we need to get some funding for that, but I think we have some ideas around that. The nice thing too is the public art presentation, for the public art program presentation, murals and wraps were two of the first things that we wanted to implement. So this kind of really goes, aligns well with that. Okay, so that covers MLK and what we accomplished in February. And also, I don't think, did I put on there that we added Black History Month? So that should be on there. I don't think I see it.
No.
And that was a big deal. So let me add that. Okay. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go through each one, and then if anyone wants to speak to any of these, you can let me know. So the next one was rotating art. Lonnie and Susan were on this committee, and we can be really quick about that. Essentially, we had art every quarter. It was great. I loved the art. We celebrated local and emerging artists, and we are going to continue to do that, but the building's been closed due to COVID.
Yeah,
So,
right. Not a lot to report there.
That last photographer, she ended up selling about $30,000 worth of her art to Alan Moore. They were doing a big remodel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, there you go. That's a great example of yay. Thank you.
Exposure. Okay, and then Colonial Plaza Public Art. So I just reiterated what we were asked to do with, facilitating that process back in January of 2019. You remember they came to a meeting, I think it was Courtney, and they asked us to facilitate getting a steering committee together. And we created the RFP, we had the stakeholders groups. We made a recommendation that wasn't accepted, but we continued to work with the artistry. The budget was increased from 80,000 to 100,000. The final design was presented to City Council in July of 2020, which I'll show you in a minute. And it has one water feature. It's slated to be complete by the end of 2020. COVID has interfered with the timeline. The final design will have 3 pods each. The pods she had, and I think there were 5 or 6 to begin with, and now I think it's down to 3. They'll have color, probably a beautiful blue color, and they'll be made of steel. And then Perry gave an update, and the update is that They've confirmed placement and addressed feasibility issues. And they've done a full scale mock-up and rendering, and she has her team in place. I see some. Okay. So that's our public art with Perry, the Colonial Plaza. Don't let me forget to show you the picture. Okay, the next accomplishment, and this was,
Quick question. There's not really a time frame because of COVID and.
well, hopefully by December of this year.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And then this is a huge accomplishment, the future of public art and the public art program proposal, which was the big PowerPoint that all of you helped research. And it's the first time in the history of the city that we presented a public art program, which is both a short and long-term program over the course of the next 6 years of implementing public art in the city of Lakewood and how it'll be funded. So it was on our work program, and it concluded with the development of this comprehensive public art program presentation. And I gave that via Zoom to City Council in July.
Okay.
And they really liked it. So I mentioned here that we had a public art charrette, which was so informative to that document. And that it provides a clear budget. We recommended $1 per capita, so roughly $60,000 a year, in addition to the McGavick days of $15,000 a year, roughly. So about $75,000 a year. And then that's spaced out over 6 years. Some years we spend less than that, so that we can add it to buying iconic, like big iconic pieces. But we'd end up with an inventory of several pieces, murals, utility boxes, interactive art, like pieces you can sit on and play with, and your iconic pieces, a few big, large iconic pieces, and then rotating art. So those were the 5 components. I have that PowerPoint if we want to revisit it, if we have time. So good job on that. That's just such a huge accomplishment. I can't even tell you. And it presented very well. Summer nights at the pavilion. So we had great success in 2019. You know, it was canceled due to COVID, but we did receive an increase in the LTAC funds from up to $20,000. And I went back to 2018. We only had 2,500 in 2018, then 6,000 in 2019, and then that jumped up to 20,000. So, you know, it really goes to show that if you're really passionate behind something, you can get the money for it. And we've really seen that grow. So they were scheduled to take place in July and August. But it was canceled. It talks about the attendance being anywhere from 200 to 450 people, and how Patty designed the flyers and the look and feel. And I do want to pause and apologize to everyone on that committee for my misunderstanding on how much the Arts Commission can do as a recommending body. And so moving forward, we'll have the Arts Commission recommend the genres, throw out names of bands. Staff will do the scheduling and the contracts. But the great news is we can use the lineup we have for this year, next year. If we get the same amount of money, we've kind of, all the work's been done. Because your committee did a great job, you know, finding all the bands. So I'm really sorry about that. And I know the work that went into it. The Life New Original Arts Film Festival, that was canceled due to COVID. Linda and I talked about revisiting that in 2022. It's too hard to plan a brand new event when we don't know if theaters will be open.
So sad.
Yeah. I mean, does that sound good to everyone? I just chatted with her on the phone and then I said I'd present that idea to you.
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows what the face of, what the theaters are going to be like. I mean, it's a complete unknown.
Yeah, I would say 2022 makes perfect sense
Yeah.
at a minimum. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it makes planning for events really hard, but we're lucky with like the concerts because we can definitely space out and we can talk to that and mention how we have room there to space out families at Fort Silicon Park. So I think we could still go through with the concert series on some level. The holiday festival. Okay, so it hasn't happened yet. We're reporting on our accomplishments. We'll talk about how successful we were last year with the parade, with Candy Cane Lane, everything. This year I had an idea. I ran this by Linda too, and it's to have a static parade, or what I call a reverse parade, where the floats are static and then people by. It would, yeah, kind of like when you drive by people's porches and they're all lit up and decorated, except they're the floats. And think how easy it'd be to do a contest judging when they're all static. You know?
Hey, Sally, I got to compliment you on that. That's a great idea. And I think if done right, it could be really engaging for the community.
Good. I think so too. And I took the initiative and sent out an email to all the past participants. They sound very interested. And like they do it. So we really actually need to get on that, develop a new application for that, what we want the prizes to be, the judging, where we want it. I think the Colonial Plaza is very well suited for this.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial thought was we'd have it right down the center. Or I mean, just on Colonial Plaza, but Linda was saying if we got enough applicants, we could make a circle all the way around, like where Columbia Bank is, and people would just drive a circle. So then we wouldn't really have to limit the number of people that enter.
So are people on foot or? Well, I guess that I yeah. I'm thinking that.
But there's sidewalks, so they really could do both.
I'm thinking people walking on foot. I mean, with your reverse parade, weather is going to be a
people together of more than X number of people. So that's why I was thinking drive-by, because then they're in their cars.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm thinking that like they could toss candy out to the kids, that whole thing, that parade thing, that if you're in if everybody's,
Santa can hand out gift bags as the cars drive by, or as little elves, so we can still do the Santa gift bags. The tree lighting itself will be a virtual event that will just be separate. But there's no reason to get like a live tree and decorate it at Colonial Plaza, or ask Linda from the chamber if she wants to do that. But we got to get on it. If you all agree to that, then we will start proceeding with that. What do you think?
I'm in agreement. Everybody else?
Yes, to me.
Okay, great. I reached out to our sponsor of the run to see if they would sponsor a virtual run, which are kind of the new thing, and I haven't heard back. So I would be fine with, honestly, the parade and the tree lighting, the virtual tree lighting. I think that's plenty for this year.
Excuse me, what is a virtual run?
You sign up online, you have a map, you can have like a map if it's like run Fort Silicon Park, and every time you run X number of miles, it shows how far you've gone. It could be a challenge, like a climb the Mount Rainier challenge, or it could be whatever you want. And we'd have a costume contest if people would submit pictures. It's just all done online. They have virtual bibs, they have virtual swag. Actually, people can come in and pick up their swag at City Hall, and they log their time, and give out t-shirts. You mail out, you either have people pick up or mail out the swag. But it's what I've learned, I've done a lot of research on it. It's all about the swag. So you really want to sponsor so you can get the t-shirts, whatever, the fun caps, you know, great prizes, or people aren't going to be very interested. So Tal, you'll probably remember this, moving on to questions for the city council, because you presented last year, but we came up with about 5 questions for the city council. I would like to ask, what questions do you have of city council for the October 12th meeting? This is your one chance to really be in front of them, pick their brains.
I'll say it. I'm COVID dead as far as what I think about the city's activities. And I've put some thought into this in the last couple of days, and it's just amazing how my motivation is tough to drag out of the sewer.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I really wanted to kick off with the PowerPoint that you guys did, because it's really inspiring. Maybe we can end with that, because I do think we all need a little uplifting and rah, get the fire lit again. And hopefully the static parade will get that going for us. But it is hard to maintain momentum. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no momentum to maintain at the moment. There's nothing been banging around in our minds that needs to be continued. We've been to be continued for most of the year.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like we're getting the engine started again right now with this, with the mural and with the parade.
So Sally, one question I can think of is just the budget and the support at this stage in the game. Because investing in public art is going to be kind of at the bottom when you're trying to make sure you're keeping your employees paid. So what does the new budget potentially look like?
So that's a great question. I mean, we'll continue to get the $2,000 a year for the Arts Commission. We'll continue to get the McGavick days, but those will obviously be less, because that's from people that are renting the McGavick Center, which
right, it's just a spiral. Yeah,
order of what it was last year. I paid. But for the public art program, for the murals, the wraps, and so on, the city council is really excited about it, and that'll be that decision will be made during the next budget cycle.
Okay.
And Mary seemed very positive about it.
I'm sorry I'm late. I'd love to say something if I could. Hi guys, good to see your faces. Golly. So art is still going, and people are making adjustments. I'm just reporting from the world of the arts, and I'm sure that some of you have seen some of the adjustments that have been made. And like the Barefoot Dance Collective is doing an online video performance with various choreographers. They got a grant from the city to do that. I'm excited to see how that turns out. My husband's on the board for them. I have some visual artist friends who've done visual art shows that were going to be held other places in their home, and they've made videos. So there's a lot of video making going on right now and online viewing. And I think that's got something. Come on, it feels like the end of the world, but I also feel like we need to make some adaptations. And the two things I keep thinking are tailgating and camping. What do we do for art when we're tailgating and camping? And one of my thoughts was, I love the idea of the walk by a display or drive by. I think that's great, because tailgating or being in your cars feels very safe for almost everyone. But I would like a drive-in concert. And if we don't get one going in the city, I'm going to do one at my church for my band because I'm just missing performing. We do rehearse in a big aired space with masks on, but golly, you know, I want that drive-in concert to happen. And so I think of our big park and I just think, why can't we just pull cars in and park everyone and be under the overhang and have some music, man?
Yeah.
Well,
So
well, Paige, it's kind of interesting you brought that up. Sally, if I can just jump in here. About a month ago, Marcus Rogers got in touch with me and he had that very idea in mind. And he actually had, since he's been doing the Stillicum concerts, he's got a pretty good rotation of musicians. He actually was approached by two of his more regular performers, and they were interested in doing just that, kind of an end of the year, going into, excuse me, not the end of the year, but kind of going into Labor Day, do something. And I said, well, you should probably run that through Parks and Rec. And they were actually interested in Fort Stillicum Park, actually. Did he get in touch with you or Mary?
no,
Yeah, there was an idea that was kicking around in his head, and he actually had a couple of strong artists who were interested in doing it, and yeah, it could have worked, I suppose, but how you distance the cars, so to speak, you know, how do you parcel out how much space, and you know, once you've advertised that, do you bring vendors into it, you know, food vendors and that sort of thing? So it did have a certain possibility to it, but it's kind of interesting Paige brought that up because that idea had been kind of kicked around, but
yeah, so I've got some great ideas around that. Well, one is people were having them, and then the governor said, no, they can't happen anymore because people were getting outside of their car and dancing. So those were actually restricted, but drive-in movies were not. So we've had 2 drive-in movies. They sold out. We're having a 3rd one in October, but my thought is we could use the same exact format as the drive-in movie. If it's 160 cars, they're all spaced 10 feet apart. They're fanned out. It wouldn't be at the pavilion, but it's at the baseball field. And we bought a portable stage, we've got it. And the portable stage could go right to the baseball diamonds. And that is definitely something we could do if the phase allows for it.
What would it cost? Okay, maybe not fair, but so for the band to have a projection screen so that they're projected on a screen. Like you're at so it's not the band on a tiny little stage with all 160 cars, but like you're at a David Bowie concert. Throwing that out there.
Bonnie. Maybe
I would imagine it wouldn't be too tough. Just
has to be
good cameras and a good projection system. You already got the thing up if you're doing a movie.
yeah, we could look into rentals for that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we had $3,000 extra this year. So
Well, that just might be the thing that would make it,
yeah,
like, you know, like you're at a live concert.
I'll write that down. Research.
Yeah. I love it.
I know. Well, and
Mhm.
the thing is, you know, obviously there could be people who are trying to skirt the rules, but that's the truth whenever you're walking down the street. You know, if you see people who aren't wearing their masks or they're getting really close to everyone. So it's just, that's part of what, you know, people have to be like, you know, and we just, you know, whatever band it is, just say, hey, everybody, let's really have a good time in our cars.
you know, Paige,
Everyone work on your waist up dance moves. With all the Zoom meetings you've gone to, I'm sure you could do it.
I was wondering, Paige, if K and KX had any kind of insight into how future concerts could happen. I know that Kareem Candy has been doing a lot of virtual concerts, and he actually has he does a series of interviews with musicians, and he's doing all those virtual
Yeah.
through his Facebook page.
Yes, yes.
So
We're partnering with Nectar Lounge for the Delvon Lamar Trio this month, and we've done some online virtual concerts.
Right.
Facilitated those. But Nectar Lounge has a really good sound system and a really great video system, and they've done live streams. But I also know that there's a Tacoma venue that really wants, it's Tacoma, it's not Lakewood, but called Real Art, and it have a beautiful sound stage, great sound system. And the guy that runs it, Aaron, did like a social media request for bands who wanted to do some live broadcasting, because he said, hey, Seattle's doing this, why don't we do this?
Right.
And then the bands just decide, like who's gonna be masked, maybe the singer is not masked or whatever. And but yeah, I think there's, and then you could sponsor it through the city somehow, and
There's a yearning for it for sure.
yeah, I know. And then with the fires, it's just like, oh my god,
We
this
had a
is
double whammy there.
depressing. Oh god.
Wait for the snow. It's gonna come to right.
I've got my eye out for locusts also.
Right? Oh, God.
Pestilence and yeah.
I know. There's just,
all kidding aside,
thankfully,
you almost have to laugh. It's just,
I know. But thankfully, we have so much already set up in the online world. And I think if we can adapt a little bit to that, but I keep thinking tailgating, camping, all your warmies, all your lights, all your portable tables and your portable food, you pop the hatchback and you sit, get your blankets. I mean, if we can just
we're
think
revisiting the 50s all over again.
Oh yeah. You can visit with each other, but it has to be in your COVID pod and has to be outside. But I know that pavilion might be tough, but gosh, that pavilion's covered. I was thinking, you have that covered, which I mean, for the weather. But
I don't think it rained at any of our concerts, but we did pivot, and the drive-in movies were a really last minute thing that were really successful. We can pivot quickly, I feel, and think outside the box, and don't hesitate to keep sharing your ideas. Because obviously the summer concerts, I think in hindsight, we could have, oh no, we couldn't, because the regulations didn't allow. But if they allow next year, we for sure could do it in the car. But I think hopefully we'll be able to have it in person and just mark off squares for people.
So Sally, we needed to have gotten to at least phase 3 to be able to achieve what we really wanted to do, right, with the concerts. And we obviously haven't gotten anywhere near phase 3.
Right. So I actually give a presentation to the Lodging Tax Committee Friday for the summer concerts, the farmers markets, Summerfest. Yeah, for those. So we'll see what kind of money we can get. And then I'll have more information for you. Before it gets too far off, I did want to mention that Judy Schwartz resigned. So, but otherwise, everyone else is going strong. And I think we've got our work cut out for us, definitely for the holiday static parade. And hopefully we can get a lot of attention around that, because I don't know that anyone else is doing that. Okay. So
can I just make a quick comment that I think your static parade is genius?
Yeah.
I almost feel like for our community that, like, at this stage in the game, like, we've only got a couple things here. Like, yeah, and that's the one to bring everybody back together and or to round out the year at least, and just go, yep.
And it'll be a lot of work. So I'll motivate you and get back to visiting what prizes we want, what we want to award people, and do we want to do the ornaments as prizes and so on.
So I also want to say to that, though, is I know that we have a lot of people that attend the parade who are using public transportation, right? So at that point, if it's just drive-through, we're really excluding a population of our community that if they don't have vehicles, how do they participate?
But if they can walk through as well, and we just have someone monitoring, like, okay, one group, next group, keep people spaced down. I think that's realistic, especially if it goes in one direction. I know how point.
Okay.
There are 2 sidewalks too. So we'll just have to sit down. We'll have to have a subcommittee that comes in and meets with, you know, developing a map, developing the application. We'll want to advertise that real soon.
That's
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for
awesome. Yeah. So you have a parade route you're kind of thinking.
not really. I mean, we can either do it on Main Street or we can do it at Colonial Plaza. We just kind of want to look at what's going to be, you know, I know City Council wants to use the Colonial Plaza, this street, and it's not being used.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Adrienne.
And it's visible.
I was just going to say, I think the other thing I'm really learning is that people will come out to do things, but now especially we have to be like very specific about what's going to happen. You know, like we used to do that anyway, but it's like, you know, here's what's going to happen. Safety precautions will be in place. Everyone will have a mask. Everyone will be in, you know, and this is, you know, I mean, people will come out to do things, but you have to, instead, you know, for me personally, I used to throwing out casual invites and I'm having to learn that's not going to happen again. Everyone needs to know exactly what's going to happen. So I know we'll do that, but it's almost like the time of TMI, you know, like, here's all the information.
I think that's true. I mean, safety first, but I think people overdo it too and take the whole fun out of everything. And
I know.
It's just finding that balance because people
I know.
don't want to be close to each other. So they are very good at, you know, staying their distance. Don't you think, Adriana? I mean, we have the rules out. We've got the dots to space it, but we don't just inundate it with and make it just so unfun, you know?
And people are aware. They're very conscious of who's around them, and so I wouldn't be too worried about people. And at this point, we've been doing it for how long? It's just become a natural, normal thing for us, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think this is a really good session. So we have one more meeting in October before the Joint Commission meeting. So please think about and email me if that's something that you can attend. That's on Zoom. And if you want to speak to any of the accomplishments. I really don't want to hear my voice the whole time, but I think it should just maybe be.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Wait, I'm afraid. Are we missing it? I forgot how to do this anymore. Girl, help me out.
I can't remember. Let's see. Here, let me take a look at the agenda. Adjournment and then.
Oh, you have to adjourn. Oh, wow. And it's only, so.
Now, were you going to be showing any of the follow-up PowerPoints, or are we going to wait to another meeting to do that?
What do you think, guys? Do you want me to quickly go through that PowerPoint and get you all fired up, or do you want to just call it quits? I'll do the PowerPoint. I'm gonna
Yeah, because I'm good with whatever.
I'm gonna do it. Is this it?
While you prepare that, I would add that we did not formally approve of the previous minutes.
I move that we approve the March minutes as stated.
Second, Ed.
Approved.
Wait, who moved?
I did. Daryl.
Daryl did.
Then I have to unmute and say aye, right?
Aye.
Who was the one who seconded it?
Odd Wolf.
Okay.
I was short of a draw.
Okay, it's down. Okay, it's just a minute.
Aye.
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 Oh, wait. Oh, we're not.
what are you doing?
Guys.
I'm so lost right now. I'm just.
Just zoom with it, Adriana.
I'm trying.
Is that share? No, you gotta go back to Zoom. Okay, guys, wait, hang on 2 seconds. You can chat.
That one.
So Todd, how'd you do your fancy backdrop there?
Okay, now share screen.
Okay. Nikki's helping.
There it is.
Where it says stop video at the bottom, there's a little arrow. And if you click that arrow, you can choose different backgrounds. One of them is virtual, which you can load.
Oh, that's cool.
So where's the slide?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. This is our. All right, can you see it?
Yep.
Why would we have a Lakewood Public Art program? It provides a cohesive, efficient process. It gives identity to the community. It increases economic impact, and it beautifies Lakewood, making it an attractive place to work, live, and play. So what I explained to the City Council is a public art program. It is like having a business plan. Like you wouldn't just start a business without having a really comprehensive business plan that has a budget, has your short and long-term goals. And this is what a Lakewood Public Art program is. It differentiates from the past where everything's just kind of a one-off. We've got the Lotus, someone presents money, they donate something, but there's no cohesive theme to it. Also, public art programs do attract tourists. And there was a study that showed that 92.7 million cultural travelers went around the United States last year. And so what I know is that people that are tourists for cultural reasons spend more money than your average tourist. I gave the example of the Chicago Cows on Parade. 2 million visitors over 3 months, and it brings a great economic impact to the city. I forgot to tell you, I have 3 University of Puget Sound Business School interns, not interns, consultants, as part of their business and leadership program. And they are working on developing a recommendation for a public art event in Lakewood. And they're using this as a basis. So the timing of this is impeccable. I talked about what current artwork we have right now in Lakewood and showed the pictures. This isn't everything. And then I talked about the charrette that we had and how the outcomes of the charrette were we wanted to connect communities. Remember that? We wanted the art to be accessible and interactive. We wanted it to reflect the diversity of our community. We wanted to really beautify our existing structures. We want to attract visitors with rotating art, and we want it to be cost effective. Is that picture hiding the images? Can I get rid of that?
I think you could do show small. Yeah. Go back up to it. There. You see that one? Either that one or that one, yeah.
Okay, there. Can you see that better?
Yeah.
So the first thing we proposed was the art wraps for signal and utility boxes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So here's a perfect example of a utility box that's been graffitied and then a really beautiful painted one with a wrap. And they are known to deter graffiti. They're vibrant and they're easy to implement. What I also learned is that it really engages emerging artists. And for communities, and a lot of communities in Lakewood are like this, who haven't seen public art, it piques their interest. And they think, wow, that's really cool. And then they want to see more and they want to see more and they want to get involved. Here's another example of how it beautifies an existing structure. And the fact that we can have artists from Lakewood working on that, and even student artists, is a real boon. And then we went on to murals, and we talked about how we wanted murals to connect neighborhoods. For those of you at the charrette, you remember we were talking about connecting Tillicum with Gravelly Lake, and there's going to be a new walkway there and a big wall. Could we put a mural there? It deters graffiti, it's low cost, it beautifies the area, and it engages the community. So they also are a way for our community to tell their story and to represent the diversity of our community, which on all levels, we all think is extremely important. This tree of life has these 3D leaves that reflect different cultures. This is from Olympia. You can also use murals. I could see something like this on the barn at Fort Silicon Park that speaks to the history of an area. And the project I was just talking about engages youth and local and emerging artists. This is an example of the urban artwork program where the artists works with the youth, and then they come up with the design and paint it. Then we moved on to rotating art. So you can see we're going from least expensive to most expensive. The rotating art, it starts implementation in year 3 of this program, because then we built up some money. It would rotate every year or 2, it engages the community. We'd have art that's available for purchase. It'd be accessible on the city website, and it'd be really cost effective because you can do this on loan. Earl did a tremendous amount of research on this, so thank you, Earl. The idea would be to purchase 1 piece a year, and that would be one that's voted on and be a fan favorite, and you can see how it might look if we put it in Colonial Plaza or put the piece at Lake Waha. Then you can have an interactive map. This is an example of what the city of Olympia does. You click on the map. If you click on it, you can see on the right, it drills down, it talks about the artist statement, the mediums they used. And so when visitors come, they can just plan their route. And then we move on to interactive art, which I think for our community is so important, because if you just build big expensive pieces of art that are in the middle of a roundabout that only people can look at, I think it can cause resentment, because they'll say, hey, why did you spend $100,000 on that when I can't eat and I don't have a roof over my head? But when it engages you like this and you can play it, touch it, it's really inspiring. And I think people feel like, hey, the city did this for me and for my entertainment and enjoyment. And then lastly is the most expensive item, and that's iconic sculptures. And there would only be a few. And this is an example of what Mary presented in her Ward's Lake grant. So it draws attention to the community. They could be like monolithic or landmark style. They can be seen from the highway. So, hey, Lakewood's here, can attract visitors. And it can highlight an area or a park. So Sound Transit did this art nail on the trails, public art. They're actually doing a big art sculpture in their new Lakewood facility, and they're going to have a small group of 5 people that give feedback on that. And I don't know where they are with that, but it will be on their property. I did share with them this PowerPoint so they knew what we wanted to highlight and felt was important as a community. So also having this document for that reason alone is just, I think will bring a lot of cohesiveness to the public art that starts getting implemented. So funding is obviously super important. I recommended $1 per capita. Other cities ask for $2 per capita or 1% of capital projects. But when I talked to the city of Tacoma, that 1% of capital projects used to be really the popular way to go. And now they're trying to back out of it because it really limits their flexibility because it has to be tied to a project. So that's why we went with $1 per capita. And then also, of course, we can find donors. And this shows that you can put people's names on, wait for it, the flower. So, people's names are out there. They get to see them every time they come by, or you can put them on leaves. You can put them on stones. Earl, again, did a lot of research on this whole entire presentation. That's a wall that has people's names.
Oh, that's beautifully done.
Yeah, I'll go back to that. Okay, and then I'm just jumping ahead to show you Perry's artwork. Okay, so this is the latest rendering. Oh, I thought it actually moved. And I have another one I can show you, but it's really beautiful because these pods are blue.
Oh, it looks like you have a play button.
Oh, okay. So are we inspired?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay! So it's not, this is gonna roll out.
Hey, Sally, I got a quick question. I know there was a talk at one point about, if we ever get up to the stage of doing the rotating art in the area, and somebody had mentioned maybe going around Gravelly Lake and such. And I wanted to know, has the city been able to find funding to redo the sidewalk? I mean, to add the sidewalks on that last leg of Gravelly Lake, like, going down Nyanza? Or is that still something that's just being talked about because of COVID?
Okay, a couple things.
My main question was basically if they've found funding to complete the Nyanza restoration project right there, or if they're still just kind of looking for funding and that's been put on the back burner.
Yeah, so originally, of course, we didn't have the funding, but the idea was, hey, if you build it in, it's going to be a lot less expensive than if you go back and try to have to insert things.
Yeah.
So what I can tell you is, Paul, the director of public works, who was in the charrette, he said he had some ideas he wanted to talk to me about that and finding private funding for it. So I will meet with him. He is really wanting to do it, from the beginning, and the charrette, he's really pushed it, which is amazing and wonderful. So I'll see what I can find out, and I will bring that back to you guys.
Okay.
But in terms of saving up for it, it didn't come till like year 3 or 4 once the public art plan was implemented, because it would take that to save up the money. And then we do X number of pieces a year, and by year 6, I think we'd have 5 pieces of rotating art.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I move to adjourn the meeting. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, it was good to talk to everybody, and
It's amazing to see all of you.
I know. I'll see you again, Lonnie. And Paige, I'll see you like walking around the street.
As soon as it's safe to breathe, Earl,
Yeah, I know.
I'll see ya. It looks like Tatooine out there to me.
I know. It's not very friendly right now. So everybody stay safe and take care, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye now.
Great seeing you.
Great seeing you guys. Oh.